How's it going, everyone? My name is Boomer, and welcome back to my World of Warcraft miniguide series. This is episode 3, and this is actually the first in a two-part series that I'm going to be putting out, detailing some of the things that I'm doing to get myself ready to rush my monk to level 90 as soon as Misc releases on September 25th. In this first video, I'm going to be covering some of the items that I've been purchasing and sort of building up over the past month or so to get myself ready. And the second video will be detailing some specific strategies for those of you who are choosing to use recruiter friend granted levels to level your monk up, and some things you can do to make your lives a little bit more easier. Okay, so to basically sum it up for you guys, I've been putting together sort of a monk survival kit with just about everything that I can think of that I'm going to be needing and that will make leveling from 80 to 90 as easy as it possibly can be for me. Now, the method that I'm going to be using, and again I'll go into more detail on this in the next video, is going to be leaving my monk after I grant all of my levels from my RaF tunes at about 99.5% into level 80. So just by doing the first breadcrumb quests into Cataclysm, I will be level 81. Now, with that in mind, I've put together basically an entire starter set of gear, which will be obviously essential for starting off and being able to actually do quests and level without being, you know, a gimped character with no gear that just dinged 80. So obviously two staples are my heirloom helm and heirloom cape that I've obviously gotten from the guild vendor. And those will be used until level 85, and so I don't actually have any replacements for those until 85. But for every other piece of gear, I've gotten at least a level 80, if not a level 81 starter piece that I'm going to be able to put on as soon as I go into the first zone of Cataclysm content to start to level my monk. I have the 2 heirloom trinkets only because there's obviously very few BOE trinkets that I can pick up for level 80 that would be worth anything. So these are basically just placeholders until I find something better for the monk. And as you can see, depending on the piece, I've actually been acquiring upgrades for each of the slots as I start to level through the content. You know, for gloves I was able to find cheap level 80, 82, 83, and 85 gloves. This is really just going to depend on what you can find on your server or what kind of friends you may have that might be leatherworkers, or whether you have a leatherworker yourself, etc., to make getting this gear easier for you. But the real important thing is here that even though I'm going to be getting a lot of quest upgrades, and in some cases I might not even use this gear, it's the fact that I have it available so that as soon as I'm able to use the upgrades, I can put them on and I can start benefiting from them. In addition to that, I obviously have 2 level 81 weapons, as well as 2 level 84 weapons that will hopefully get me through what I need to do just fine. In terms of things that some people might not necessarily think about, I have a stock of quite a few fortune cookies because that extra food buff will obviously be beneficial as I'm leveling, and you're always going to need something to eat anyways just to make your grinding go faster. In addition, I've got a bunch of swiftness potions. Now, even though I'm going to be outfitting my monk with all of the flight training he needs to do everything when I start doing the Cataclysm content, these I feel like are going to become pretty useful in certain situations. You know, if I end up having to go into a large cave or, you know, in another area that I'm not able to mount, I feel like these are actually going to come in useful in more situations than I think, so I thought they would be a good thing to bring along. In addition, I have almost a whole stack of Flasks of the Winds. Again, it's just about making your character stronger than it's really supposed to be. So this is a flask that level 85s have been using. I'm going to use them starting right at level 81 when I start leveling. As well, Rune Scroll of Fortitudes, I have way more than enough of them. Again, more life, easier to level. I have a set of 4 Ember Silk bags, again, just to increase efficiency, and so I'm not going to be going back to vendor things over and over and over again. I actually have a bunch of Tol'vir potions, and again, this is just a matter of keeping speed in mind, so I'm going to keep quite a few of those on hand. And actually, just since patch 5.0.4 came out, I actually bought every single glyph that is craftable right now by inscriptionists that monks can use, that I'm going to be giving to my monk as soon as I create him and grant him the level so he can learn those right away. Now, the last thing that I really want to cover, I have a couple gems down here and a couple armor kits. Again, it's just going to be dependent on the type of gear that you pick up, just to kind of boost your gear up and give you a little bit of an edge as you're leveling. But the last thing I wanted to cover are these adventurer's journals. Now, this is something that's typically overlooked, I guess you could say, because it's something that is, I guess, not really known by that many people even now. The adventurer's journals have a chance when you use them. They have an hour cooldown when you use them to give you a random buff out of a certain few. There are things like extra elemental damage on hit, increased run speed, but the one you're really going to want to look for every time you use them is the chance to grant you 10% experience from quests. Now, this is only usable below 85. So those of you who are starting a monk from 1, these are usable all the way from level 75 to 85. But for those of you doing Recruiter Friend, you'll be able to start taking advantage of these at level 80 or 81. And again, even though it's a gamble, if you're able to just get 1 or 2 out of the hours that you'll be doing the Cataclysm content until 85 that proc that 10% experience bonus, that is a huge benefit for you in terms of increasing your grinding efficiency. So again, I have way more than is necessary. I actually had a bunch of these on an inscription assault, so I ended up with quite a few more of them than I intended to initially. In addition to everything you see here, there are a couple other things that I'm thinking about. I might try to fish out a couple more upgrades for a few of the slots. I haven't quite decided. But then obviously I'm going to be sending my monk roughly 15,000 in gold just so that he can immediately get all of the flight training and mounts that's needed to make sure he can go flying as soon as I get into Cataclysm content. So that's really about it for this. Again, these are just some things that I thought would be a good idea to put together before I started leveling come September 25th. And the next video I do is going to be detailing specific pointers, specific pointers for people who are going to be utilizing Recruiter Friend, and little things like what is the fastest way to grant levels and what is the fastest place to position your characters and make it so you get right into that Cataclysm content as soon as possible. Alright, well that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will have the second part to this particular guide out very soon, so make sure to keep watching, and thanks for subscribing as well. Take care.